Hey guys. Actually, sorry, I forgot to turn on the mic. Okay. Hey guys. It's funny, I see people in chat, but my statistics say that there's nobody watching. So we'll see. Hopefully people will tune in later or be able to watch this later. Anyway, I have been wanting to do a stream on abortion for a long time. It's an issue I just haven't gotten around to doing because I get way too emotional about it. But when the whole Covington Gate thing happened, I really wanted to do the stream then because I wanted to draw the parallels, but I was super busy with work, so I just didn't get around to it. So I'm going to be going over this now. This is probably going to be a long stream. I'm probably going to get very emotional, but I'll be taking time out to calm down. Anyway, I will try to look at the chat at times during the stream. I have it kind of my notes here. I'll be taking time out to look at what people have to say, but just be prepared. I'm going to get emotional. And that doesn't mean I'm going to cry. It means I'm going to get angry and probably yell. Anyway, I just found it so interesting watching the whole Covington debacle, everything going down with that nobody seemed to want to make the connection there. That everybody was upset that people were calling for the deaths of these kids, saying, "Oh, why don't we have a school shooting there? Somebody needs to go shoot this kid in the face." They're like, oh, "How dare you call for the deaths of kids?" And you want to say, these people calling for the deaths of kids, why were those kids out there in the first place? A lot of people actually mentioned, oh, they were there for a pro-life rally. Change the subject. Yeah, they were there for this pro-life march. Change the subject. Nobody wanted to make the connection. This was a group of people calling for the deaths of kids who had been out there protesting government protection of people who kill kids. So people who were just astonished, like, oh, how dare these people want to kill children? It's like, well, why were they out there in the first place? Because here in America, thousands of children are murdered every single day. And that's what these kids were protesting, saying the government should not protect people who kill kids. And then people respond to this by saying, somebody killed these kids. And everybody's shocked. It's like, why are you shocked? Why are you shocked? They wouldn't have been out there in the first place if the government did not protect people who kill kids. Anyway. And a lot of people are going to say, oh, abortion isn't killing kids, it's killing a fetus. Well, like fetus is a Latin word for small person. So even when you say, we're not going to call it a child, we're going to call it a fetus, you're still calling it a child, you're just calling it a child in a different language. So whatever. Anyway, I do want to talk just briefly about abortion, just because people are going to say, oh, it's not actually killing a child. Well, for those of you who say that, it could be that you don't know what abortion is, or that you've never heard about it, or that you just kind of just say, well, I'm just going to pretend I don't know what it is. But I'm going to give a brief description for people who might not know of what abortion is. The earliest forms of earlier abortions, meaning, say, before 13 weeks, the earliest forms would be sometimes done with a pill. You have the RU486 is a pill that doctors will give to women. It's 2 pills. It's actually taken over 2 days, or I think, I don't know if it's a 1 day or 2 day in between, but they'll give the woman a pill and then they come back out there the next day or 2 days later, I can't remember, and take the second pill. And what it does is it forces a miscarriage. It essentially tells the body to, I think it's just an overdose of steroids, basically, that just forces the body to just expel the whole thing, the whole pregnancy, which this is considered, oh, it's nice, it's safe, it's not surgical, there's nothing actually inserted into the woman, it's just you take a pill and then the baby comes out. The problem is the baby comes out at home. And there you have women who have been mentally scarred by this, because at that point, by the time you recognize that you're pregnant, the baby is at least a month old, which means it's mostly formed. Say by 2 months, that's still less than 13 months. Anytime in the first trimester, you quite often have a fully formed baby. It's teeny tiny, it's incredibly small, but it's fully formed. So you have women who have been mentally scarred because they take the pill thinking, oh, this is just going to get rid of it. And then, they wear pads or something because, of course, you're bleeding as you're expelling the pregnancy. And then they, changing your pad, you see this teeny tiny, fully formed human being there in the pad. And it has happened at least 2 instances that I know of where the baby came out and was still moving. And I'm trying to imagine that as a woman, that you're thinking, oh, I'm pregnant, it's okay, it's just a cluster of cells. Here, I'm just going to take these pills and it'll all be done with. And then you're changing your pad and you see a literal, fully formed, tiny human being still moving there. How is that going to affect a woman? Anyway, So that's one of the earliest forms. Now, once the baby gets beyond a certain point, once it's big enough that you can't do that and you can't just expel it with a pill, they have suction and curettage, which is where they take a hollow tube, insert it into the woman's vagina, and feel around for the baby. What they'll do is they'll do an ultrasound first, so they figure out where the baby is situated in the uterus. They take the tube, insert it in there, and find the tiny, fully formed little baby. I mean, yes, it is teeny tiny at this point, but of course it's too big to just expel with the pill. It's also too big to just pull out with the tube. So what do? The tube has a sharp edge on it. It's kind of a beveled edge to where it's like this, and then it's cut and try to like that, and then the top edge is kind of a little sharper, so that when it catches onto the child, and it rips it apart and just pulls it out piece by piece, just sucking it out like a high-powered vacuum cleaner. And then they take it and scrape it around the uterine wall to make sure that they've gotten all the pieces and all of the placenta and everything else, and make sure it's all cleaned out, and then okay, you're good to go. That way the woman doesn't see anything. A lot nicer, right? How about you go a little further on? Now, you used to have other forms like the chemical abortion, I'm just not even going to describe that. I was going to describe how we used to do abortions, but I'm not going to. Let's just say they used to literally burn the child alive. And the children would, I mean, you could watch them on the ultrasound just thrashing around in pain for hours as they were slowly burned to death. It was disgusting. And that was finally outlawed because it was considered inhumane. It's totally fine to rip them apart. I mean, literally rip them apart with a high-powered vacuum cleaner, but it's wrong to burn them to death every couple of hours. So, I mean, as long as you do it quickly to where they don't feel much pain, it's okay. Because yes, they feel pain. That has been scientifically proven. They do feel pain when they're being ripped apart, just not quite as much as when they're being burned alive. But anyway, so legally you can't burn them alive anymore, but you can totally rip them apart. Let's go on to slightly further late term, second term, third term, that type of thing, where now the baby's too large to even clean out with the vacuum cleaner. So what they do is they reach in now with a pair of tongs. They have to have the ultrasound going so that they can see where the baby is. The doctor reaches into they have to dilate the woman's vagina, by the way, which in the second term, they can still do that, just to kind of insert small things to just gradually dilate it. It takes a little time, not a lot of time, but it takes some time, of course, because you're forcibly dilating the vagina. And they reach in with a pair of tongs, grab hold of a leg or an arm, and give a sharp twist to rip it off of the baby, pull that out, set it aside, and there's a nurse there that's collecting the pieces. Reach in, grab another leg, grab another arm, grab the torso, have to rip the spine across, take the head and crush it. And they know when they've crushed the head because this white fluid will start coming out, and that's the baby's brains that are dripping out of the vagina. And if you're thinking, oh, this is horrific, guess what? This is real. This happens literally every single day, hundreds of times a day. We'll get into numbers later. So then once they've got all the pieces out, they have to have that nurse there putting the pieces back together to make sure you've got a fully formed body there, because if it's not fully formed, they're like, oh, we're missing an arm. You can't leave parts in there, because guess what? If you have dead human particles inside your body, they're going to rot and they're going to cause infection. And God forbid we actually, do something that's going to hurt the woman. No, we can't do that. So we need to make sure we have every single part. So then when they're finished, the doctor looks at the nurse, you got everything? And he's like, nope, we're missing a hand. Oh, here, we've got to find out where that is, because anyway, and then you got the partial birth abortion, which so many people, most people aren't okay with that, especially when they know what it is. What you have to do is you have to dilate the woman. And by the way, people who want to say, oh, partial birth abortion should only be available when medically necessary. It is never medically necessary. If the woman's life is in danger, you don't have time to do a partial birth abortion. You know why? Because it takes at least 2 days to do a partial birth abortion, because you have to literally dilate the woman, have her go into labor, and deliver the baby. And to dilate a woman forcibly like that, what you have to do is she goes to the abortion clinic and she has to check into a hotel room if she's out of town, because this is going to take, like I say, minimum of 2 days. They will insert these thin seaweed rods, essentially, they're just dry rods that when they absorb moisture, they expand. So they insert these dried seaweed rods into the woman's vagina, and then gradually, and then send her back to the hotel or whatever. Gradually, as it absorbs moisture, it forces the vagina open. She has to come back. They take those out. They put in new ones, and they have to do this a couple of times so that they can manually or forcefully, unnaturally dilate the vagina enough to get the baby out. Because at this point, the baby's fully formed. A baby can survive. I mean, at 24 weeks, if a woman goes into labor at 24 weeks, they consider it a premature birth. They do not consider it a miscarriage. Before 24 weeks, they will usually consider it a miscarriage, but not always. Before 20 weeks, I hope this control is working on my mic, that I'm not coughing into the mic. Anyway, before 20 weeks, they will usually just, if a woman goes into labor, they'll just consider it a miscarriage. They won't even try to save the baby. Between 20 and 24 weeks, it depends on where you are, what facility. You can actually save a baby very early. I think the earliest child that actually survived and was able to go home. I mean, children have survived premature delivery, but I mean, when they're that small, they will usually die in the hospital. They usually won't survive to go home. The smallest surviving that was able to go home and is actually still alive, I think 4 years later, was at 21 weeks, which is still the second trimester. That's not even a third trimester abortion. That wouldn't even be considered a late term abortion. That's still second trimester. But anyway, well, I guess late term is after 20 weeks. Anyway, get into that later. But yeah, so back to the partial birth abortion, what they have to do is that, like I said, they, over the course of 2 days, they forcefully dilate the vagina so that the birth canal, so that then the doctor will go in with a pair of tongs or whatever, grab the baby by the foot. They have to be very careful that they bring it out the right way, because legally, if the head is delivered, it's considered a live birth and they can't kill it. So what they do is they turn the baby, make sure that they have it turned such that they grab the foot, they pull the foot out first, so they bring it all the way out, so the head is still in the birth canal and the whole body is out. And then they'll take a syringe, a big thick syringe, stick it into the baby's skull and suck the brains out, because at that point, it has no brains. It's considered, I mean, obviously it's considered dead. So then once they finish that, they pull the whole baby out. Now it's dead. Now there you go. They literally deliver the child and then kill it just before they finish pulling it out. That's what that's what partial birth abortion is, because they literally have the woman give birth and then just kill it quickly just before she's finished. You can't do that for medical necessity because it takes 2 days. If the woman's life is in danger, you would have to take her immediately to the hospital and do a C-section. So to say, oh, we should allow partial birth abortion or these late-term abortions only when the woman's life is in danger. If the woman's life is in danger, you don't have time to do an abortion. Talk to any doctor about this. Only abortion providers who are making lots of money, and trust me, you make a lot of money off of abortions, they're the only ones who are going to say, oh, we need to keep this in case it's medically necessary. Any doctor who doesn't perform abortions is going to tell you there's no time. If the woman's life is literally in danger, there is no time to perform a late-term abortion. So people who want to say, oh, you have to keep this in case the woman's life is, no, that is never going to be the case with late-term abortions. Never, okay? Oh yeah, somebody said, is Liz trying a new format standing up? Yeah, it's because I don't think I would be able to, it helps me to have the blood flow, helps me to keep calmer. This is me calm. This is me calm talking about abortion. I am shocked that I'm still this calm. You think I'm excited, and I kind of am, I know, but this is actually me very calm. And part of this, I think, is because I've sort of been rehearsing this stream for the last 2 weeks. So I've gotten over the first couple of times that I was kind of rehearsing this in my mind, saying, here's what I want to do. I would get so angry. I mean, I literally couldn't sleep at night, and I was just like, I'm thinking, I can't do this. I just can't do this. So I've been rehearsing this over and over again. This is actually me calm talking about abortion. So anyway, okay, sorry. My notes say stop, breathe, and check chat. And okay, chat is, yeah, so okay. Okay. Anyway, I'm going to change topics here slightly, and trying to decide if I want to go into the numbers first or not. But yeah, I'll go into the numbers first. Never mind. People are going to say, I just mentioned all the different forms of abortions. People are going to say, well, late-term abortions, it's very rare. And so many people say, oh, we need abortion to be safe and rare, or whatever. Safe, legal, and rare, I think is what they say. The CDC took numbers in 2015, and by the way, these are self-reported by the states. It's not like the states have to report their numbers, but the numbers that the states chose to report to the CDC, saying, here's how many abortions we performed this year, here's how many of whichever types. So these self-reported numbers for 2015 did show only 1.3% of abortions are performed after 20 weeks, meaning when the child is viable, essentially. Now, I understand between 20 to 24 weeks, it may not be considered viable depending on where you are, depending on which hospital. Some hospitals do not have the what's the word? the facilities to be able to care for a preemie prior to 24 weeks. Most modern hospitals nowadays, they can care for 24 weeks and above. Yeah, they can care for it. Now, you still have a comparatively low survival rate at 24 weeks. I think you have like a 40% chance of survival. So, I mean, it's still less than 50% if the baby is born at 24 weeks, which I think is the end of the second trimester, beginning of the third trimester. Once they get into the third trimester, I mean, like at 28 weeks, yeah, you're usually going to survive at 30 weeks. Yeah, if you're in any modern hospital in the Western world, your baby's probably going to survive. I mean, they might have some health issues. Yeah, a lot of preemies have health issues, but you're not. It's not like, oh, the baby can't survive. The baby's not viable. That's not the case. So after 20 weeks, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, they're still not viable. Well, 20 to 24 weeks. Probably not viable, but after 24 weeks, the 24 to 40 weeks, yeah, they probably are. So, and even the 20 to 24 weeks, it's questionable. It just depends on the facility you're at. And it depends on how far along you are. Like I said, 21 weeks is the earliest we have right now of a child actually surviving, and I mean growing now. I was going to show pictures, and I still might do that. So, what's she say? I heard it's an average of $17,000 per abortion. Yeah. I don't know that that's the case. That sounds, I know it's a couple $100s if you have an early abortion. The later terms abortions, that very well may be the case. I mean, like I say, it's a 2-day procedure, at minimum 2-day procedure. It's so you're literally paying for a doctor, and oftentimes the doctors will fly into whatever city to do this 1 or 2 late-term abortions. So you're paying for a doctor's services for 2 days. You're not just going into a facility and having it, oh, here, just do this. No, the late-term abortions, the doctors, there aren't many doctors who will perform it. Partly because they are literally killing kids, and they're seeing what they're doing. They are delivering a baby and sucking out its brains themselves. They're watching this. They have the child in their hands while they're sucking out its brains. Fortunately, there aren't a lot of doctors willing to do that. Why was the Kermit Gosnell child so horrific among pro-lifers, and everybody else just wanted to just ignore it, sweep it under the table, say, oh, no, it just doesn't exist. I mean, the media just completely ignored Gosnell very intentionally. I think there were a couple of stories that came out about it, but very few. It was because when you're doing late-term abortions, sometimes the baby gets born. You can't kill it before it's born. I mean, sometimes it goes too quickly. You'll have women, because I've read the pamphlets that they give to women when you're doing the late-term abortions, and they'll say, oh, here's what you're doing. And they send, like I said, they're dilating them over a course of 2 days. They send them back to the hotel room, and they'll actually say, they have in there, what happens if I go into labor? And they literally say, go sit on the toilet with your cell phone, call us, and just sit there. And no, unlock the door. Sorry. They say, unlock the door to your hotel room, call us, because I think they already know what hotel, where they are. Go sit on the toilet and just wait. And it even says, what happens if the baby comes out? And you said, just sit on the toilet and just wait. We will come and take care of everything. In other words, they're going to send a cleanup crew. I can't go into that too much. I'm really, really going to get, but yeah, Kermit Gosnell kind of mentioned that he was finally arrested. He was a late-term abortion provider. He was arrested because he had a lot of complications, which meant the baby was born alive. And what he would do is he would just take a pair of scissors and cut the spinal cord. It was like, oh, we have a live baby here. What do we do? Quick, take a pair of scissors and cut the back of the neck, severing the spinal cord, essentially decapitate the baby. It is born. It is alive, sometimes crying. And it's like, oh, just quick, kill it. Just pretend we killed it 30 seconds ago. And it's okay. Because it totally would have been legal if we'd killed it 30 seconds ago. But it's not legal. But we'll just pretend we killed it 30 seconds ago. I could tell you so many stories, but I'm just not going to do that. I used to volunteer at a facility that would help women who were either considering abortion or who had abortions. And we had a woman come to us looking for financial aid because she was a poor woman who just, she was pregnant. She was like, I can't afford a baby, but she went to get the abortion, and lower class, not very educated. And the abortion facility did the ultrasound, because they always have to do an ultrasound, because they have to, well, first of all, make sure that there is a baby there. And there have been stories of them performing abortions and charging for women for abortions who weren't actually pregnant. They just tell them that they were. But they performed the ultrasound and then said, oh, you've got twins. We're going to charge extra. You have to pay double. So you have to pay for 2 abortions, which is ridiculous for one thing. And she came to us because she's like, I need financial assistance. I can't afford to pay double to eliminate this pregnancy. Anyway, but so, and anyway, not going to go into all of that. Like I said, but so a lot of people will say, most people nowadays, fortunately, disagree with the late term abortions, and they say, "Oh, that is horrific, and that shouldn't happen, and that is disgusting." And I mean, it is a viable child, and we shouldn't be killing viable children. But then the pro-abortion fanatics will point out, say, "Oh no, but look, I mean, it's only 1.3% of total abortions." And in 2015, the CDC did this whole thing. How many abortions asking the states, and like I say, these are numbers voluntarily provided by the state. So honestly, they're probably understated, but the percentages very likely are correct. But and who knows, the numbers might be correct either. They might have made adjustments for that, but they're probably understated. Like I said, anytime you have voluntary reporting, you're likely going to miss some numbers. Anyway, but from these numbers, they did say, at least in 2015, I haven't seen anything updated since 2015, but in 2015, they said 1.3% of abortions are actually late-term abortions. And so many people are going to say that and say, look, it's this tiny little percentage. It's not that many. So, I mean, I agree, it's horrific, but it's just this tiny little percentage. It's okay. And then you look at the numbers. 640,000 abortions performed in 2015. Technically 638,169, but close enough. 640,000 abortions. What is 1.3% of that? 8,296. That comes to 691 late-term abortions, viable children being killed per month, or 23 per day. That's the equivalent of the Sandy Hook shooting every single day. People were infuriated with Sandy Hook because somebody went into the school and shot up little children. We're talking 5 years old and under. It's different when some crazed student goes into their high school and shoots up their classes. Because, I mean, that's still horrific. But people at least will say, oh, well, he was bullied by his classmates. Oh, this was happening, that happened. There is no excuse for going in and killing little kids. That's one reason Sandy Hook was it was such a big, I mean, that and the whole conspiracy theory surrounding it, I understand. But when you're going in and killing little kids, it's like there is absolutely no psychological justification for that. You can't say I was bullied by little kids. It's like, you were what? So Sandy Hook, imagine that happening every single day. Every single day. That's how many late-term abortions in the U.S. I don't know how many it is in other countries. You guys who aren't in the U.S., go figure it out yourself in your other countries. I mean, if I knew how to look it up, I would probably look it up. But seriously, just in America alone, 23 children every single day legally killed. Legally. And people are fighting, saying we have to keep this legal. We have to keep this legal. We have to keep this legal. And some people are saying, oh, well, we should only keep it legal if the woman's life is in danger. You're buying into the lie. The woman's life is not in danger in the 3rd trimester. Or if it is, an abortion isn't going to fix it. At that point, you have to do a C-section. And I was arguing with somebody about this, and they were saying, oh, well, late-term abortion is no different from a C-section. I said, yes, it's different because you kill the kid. At least with a C-section, you take the baby out and try to keep it alive. You don't take the baby out and then kill it. I have to breathe for a second. Okay. Yeah. I have my anti-anxiety medication here to help out. This is Dr. Pepper with a little bit of something mixed in to help me calm down. But it's mostly Dr. Pepper to say I'm not drinking beer. So. Okay. All right, calming down. I'm gonna look at chat for a second. I'm not good at looking at chat while talking. So if I just go silent, that's because it is. Yeah, Kevin makes a good point. Of the 700,000 children we kill every year, we only brutally murder 2% of them. Yeah, basically. I don't know what that means, but. Yeah, Vanishing Points asks, abortion isn't really a regular discussion point in Europe. Why do you think it remains one in the U.S.? I I think that it's because the US is still majority Christian, whereas Europe is not. Europe is, I think, like 50-50 or something. And of the Christians in Europe, I think so many of them are Roman Catholic, which the Roman Catholics are essentially taught to separate your Christian beliefs from your public life. So they're saying, when you're in church, act like a Christian. When you're out in the world, act like a heathen. Well, I mean, that's not true. Vote like a heathen, that's what I should say. And that is being taught more and more here in America. Even churches will say, don't hold to your religious beliefs when you go to vote. Look at what's best for the country. What do you think is good for you? What is best for the most amount of people? They don't say, what does the Bible say? So if you separate those two and you say, well, when you're in church, act like a Christian. When you're around Christians, act like a Christian. But when you go to the voting poll, forget that you're a Christian. Just ignore that. Then, yeah, I mean, so abortion is becoming, I think, less of a talking point for a while here in America, just because, again, the churches themselves have been teaching people, ignore your faith when you go to the voting booth. And yeah, somebody says, more religiosity in America? Yeah, I think that's what it is. Okay. Wow. Okay. In Belgium, abortion is only allowed up to the heartbeat of the kid. That's like at 10 days. No, I think brainwaves start at 10 days, heartbeat. Oh, wait, heartbeat starts at 10 days and brainwaves start at 2 weeks. I can't remember, something like that. But I mean, if abortion is only allowed up until the child's heart is beating, I mean, most women don't even know that they're pregnant until their kid's heart is beating. So that's interesting. Yeah. Vanishing Point, that's actually what I was going to get into next. Yeah, you just jumped into my next point there, so I won't read that one because I'm about to get into that. Okay, we're going to look like we're changing topics dramatically for a minute. Because my next point is, I'm going to kind of circle around to it. It's going to be a little bit convoluted path to get there. But when the Gillette commercial came out, I wanted to do a video on that. And guess what? I wanted to tie it to abortion. Now, how in the world would you tie those two? When the Gillette ad came out, and most of the people I follow, in fact, I think all of the people I follow on YouTube are guys. Yeah, I don't think I follow any women. Wow. There just aren't sorry. Regardless. Right. So many people were talking about it, how it was insulting to men, how it was saying all these horrible things about men. And I agreed. I mean, with most of what they were saying, some of the things I was like, yeah, I think you might be reading a little too much into it. But I mean, almost entirely things that people were saying, yeah, I agree. I think it is offensive. I watched the Gillette ad myself. And I mean, I thought about doing a stream about it, but I'm like, so many other people are doing it. Plus, I'm not a man. I don't want to jump in there and say, I know what men think. I mean, I feel like I know what a lot of men think, and I feel like I could have addressed it, but I felt like it kind of wasn't my place. I'm like, other guys have done it so much better. But there was one scene in there that offended me as a woman. I mean, deeply, deeply offended me. And that's the one scene of mansplaining, where you see these people sitting around a boardroom table with a woman there, and the man looks at the other guys as he patronizingly places his hand on the woman's shoulder and says, what I think she's saying is, and then you see the woman just like, and I'm like, oh my goodness! What in the world? Are you saying that women in business are these fragile little snowflakes that a man says something? He's just like, well, what I think she's saying. And you're just like, oh my goodness. They just won't listen to me and I don't know what to do. And I'm like, shut up. That is not women. Why aren't you showing women as strong, okay? Do you not believe women are strong? Do you really think women are these fragile little snowflakes that somebody insults them and they're just going to, oh my goodness. I'm a woman in business, okay? Right now I own my own business, but I used to work in business where I would be around the board table, just presenting things. I had to make a presentation to present to the CEO of a massive company, and not CEO, sorry, CFO, that he was then going to present to the CEO. So he's asking me questions because he's going to take the same presentation to give to the CEO. And this was a huge company, by the way. I'm not going to mention the company. So, I mean, I've been there. And if some man said something mean to me, I'm just going to turn around and say, dude, I know what I'm talking about, and here's the proof. I'm not just going to, if my boss said something, I'm going to shut up because I'm like, okay, that's my boss. And then I might talk to him later, but I'm not going to sit down and start crying in the boardroom. Oh my goodness. It was so offensive to women, that scene. I'm like, how dare, if she has enough gumption, enough knowledge, enough experience to be able to get to that point where she's sitting around the board table and offering an opinion, she's strong enough not to melt when someone, is being patronizing to her. Oh, it was so offensive. And it was so offensive. So I'm like, and I think most of my audience knows, yes, I think the far left is far more misogynistic than the right, because they see these women as these fragile, sad little victims that they have to go and rescue. We need affirmative action for women because they can't make it on their own. We need to protect women from mansplaining because they just can't handle the pressure. We need to protect women from manspreading because they're not strong enough to go up to a man and say, excuse me, can I sit down in the seat? You're taking up too much space. I need some room. Men are too polite, okay, to go and tell a woman, would you move your purses so I can sit down? Women, they want to say aren't strong enough or aren't brave enough. Okay, no, it doesn't take much bravery to go up to a man and say, excuse me, can I sit down here? You're taking up too much space. So yeah, even the whole concept of manspreading, it's a ridiculous thing, but it's also insulting to women by saying that women aren't willing to say, excuse me, can you move your knee? Yeah, I don't have a problem saying that. And I know I'm an exception. I'm a little more brusque and more, what's the word? I don't know what the word is, but I know I recognize I'm not normal women. But still, women can say something if they want to. So yes, when the far left is arguing about all these things, it is incredibly offensive to women because you're portraying them as these weak, vulnerable, fragile little, China figures that they have to protect, and you have to. Anyway, it's disgusting. So, what does this have to do with abortion? Let's jump over to one YouTuber who I would say is very much not misogynistic. Now, I disagree with him on some issues. And by the way, if you ever find a YouTuber that you agree with him on every single issue, every time, you'd never disagree with them on anything, be careful. That's what's considered the first step in joining a cult. You should be disagreeing with every YouTuber on at least some issues, because there might be somebody that you just agree with them entirely 100% because they're saying the same things you already believe. That's okay. Be careful with that anyway. But yeah, it's totally normal, and it's actually healthy to disagree with YouTubers on some, or YouTubers disagree with everybody on something, because we're not, mindless automatons. So this is a YouTuber who I actually disagree with on a number of issues. And yeah, I'm considering whether I should name drop or not. I'm going to. It's not a name drop, but anyway. And it's our God of a God. Guess what? I disagree with him on a number of issues. One, he's atheist. I'm strong Christian. So, obviously that's an issue where we disagree. We agree on a lot of issues, though. I actually like most of his videos. Love the video he put out last night, by the way. If you haven't seen his drunk stream, that was hysterical. It was great. It was really good. Regardless, his position on abortion, let me back up just a second. He is very much not misogynistic on so many of these other things, because he will attack the left on these issues, not just because of their bad portrayal of men, but also because of their patronage towards women, because they are treating women as essentially as children that need to be protected, that need to be supported, and all of this. And he's like, you guys are being sexist. So I agree with him on that. I'm like, yes, he is actually standing up for women's rights, until it comes to the issue of abortion. And what does he say? What is his opinion on abortion? He thinks he will actually say abortion is killing a child. So he says he doesn't like abortion. He wishes we didn't have it, but he says we need to have it. And a lot of you guys have heard this argument, because women are going to get abortion. So if you make them illegal, there's going to be back alley abortions and coat hanger abortions and all of that. And women are going to, which is going to hurt women. Women can die from those, if you don't know what a coat hanger abortion is, that's where women would, long time ago, they'd take a metal coat hanger, just stretch it out to where it's kind of like a metal thing, and then they would stick it up their vagina themselves and trying to essentially kill the baby, and so that it would cause a miscarriage. And of course, that's incredibly dangerous. You can introduce germs, to get you get infections. You can just kill the baby and it not come out, to where, again, you're having literal rotting flesh inside your vagina. You might accidentally poke a hole in your vagina to where you bleed to death. It's very dangerous. It's really, really bad. But that's in case you don't know what a coat hanger abortion is. That's what it is. We're talking about that. And you say, oh, or back alley abortions, these abortion facilities that are functioning illegally, they go there. And of course, then they're not held up to health standards or whatever, so that it's dirty, it's dangerous, and women will die, essentially. That's his argument. Now, let me explain why that argument is so incredibly offensive. First, you're saying abortion is killing a child. Women can't resist killing their kids. Women are just innate murderers. They just can't help it. Women have to kill their kids. It's something inside them. As a woman, they can't help it but kill their own children. Women are natural murderers and they just can't help it. They're going to kill their kids. So we have to protect these women who are killing their kids. We have to help them kill their kids because God forbid a murderer who is killing their own child accidentally hurt themselves in the process. Because women just can't help it. It's just something that's a part of women. They can't help but kill their own kids. Okay. This is what's called a logical disconnect. When you say abortion is killing children, we have to protect women who want abortions because they're going to get abortions regardless. Abortion is killing children, women are going to get abortions. Abortion is killing children, women are going to get abortions. You're saying women are going to kill their kids. That's what you're saying. If you don't believe abortion is killing kids and you say, oh, women are going to get abortion, then you're not saying women are innate murderers, okay? But if you acknowledge that abortion is killing a child, and then you say women can't help but get abortions, you are saying women can't help but kill their kids. So abandon one or the other, or don't you dare call yourself not a misogynist. Anyway. I really wanted to go further on this line, but I'm getting too upset. So in case you can't tell, I'm sure you can't. I'm abandoning that line early. Like I said, I was going to go a lot further on that one, but whew, gotta calm down. Okay, what's he saying? Oh. Sargon is a very touchy dude. Wait, touchy dude? I thought you were going to say touchy subject. I don't think he was. Okay. Oh God, man, I got a lot of chat here. I've got to back out to here. Look at that. Yeah, talking about how many abortions per 1,000 women. Yeah, which yes, I see. That's one thing I was going to go into. How many abortions that when you say, oh, women can't help it, women are going to get abortions, it's like that. It's a tiny percentage. It really is going to be a tiny percentage. Like I said, I was going to go further. I don't know. Maybe I'll go further down that line. Yeah, AA is never wrong. Oh, okay. Might be strawmanning the argument. I don't know what that. Okay, yeah, go for it. Yeah, Sargon never said women have an innate urge to abort. No, he just said women are going to abort their kids. That's what he said. So that's where I'm going. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, but when he says we have to keep abortion legal because women are going to have abortions regardless, and he's saying if we make it illegal, you're just going to have back alley abortions and coat hanger abortions. He's literally saying women can't help but kill their kids. And again, I know he would never put it that way. And I think if I said, here's what you're saying, he would be offended and say, that's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm saying, put it together. Put it together logically. It's just like the left. The left is never going to say women are weak and need to be protected. They're just not going to say that, of course, because they would deny believing that. But then they say all of this stuff. Oh, we need affirmative action for women. We need to make mansplaining illegal. We need to do all that. And it's like, don't you see you are saying women are weak? And they're saying, no, of course not. Women are strong. It's like, well, then why are you treating them like they're weak? That's what I'm saying. When you say women, if we make the abortion illegal, we're going to have back alley abortions and coat hanger abortions, and we have to protect these women. Therefore, we have to keep it legal. That's what you're saying. You're saying women can't help but kill their kids. If you believe abortion is killing children, but you say we have to keep it legal to protect women, you are saying women are innate murderers. That's what you're saying. That's why I'm saying this. Okay. And I mentioned posted this in the Discord AAs, but Discord, and I said, I'm gonna defend everybody, or almost everybody here. So yeah. Anyway. I think the point is the same as murderers will murder even if you take their guns. Yeah, this is true. Okay. Anyway, like I said, I was going to go further on that line, but I'm not. I'm strawmanning Sargon. Again, I do not believe Sargon would say it that way. Absolutely not. And he would denounce it. If I said, you are saying this, he would denounce that immediately. Just like the left would denounce if you said, you're saying, you're, like the debate with Sargon and, I can't remember the guy's name. Sorry. Anyway, but during the debate at one point, Sargon was saying we need equality of opportunity, and we give nobody a hand up or whatever. I think he would make an exception for class privilege, but as far as race and all of that, and he was saying everybody should be the same, everybody should have the same outcomes. And the guy who he was debating said, if you do that, white people will rule everything. And Sargon is like, you're a white supremacist. And the guy just looked at him like, wait, what? And all the leftists are like, how in the world do you get that? And all of the people who understand what Sargon means are like, yeah, if you say, make everyone equal, give everyone the same opportunity, and you say, if you do that, then white people will always come out on top. The only way that's going to happen is if you believe white people are just better off and just better off in getting there. So yes, innate, you are unconsciously a white supremacist if you believe that. That's what I'm saying, okay? They don't think this consciously. The left does not consciously think that women are weak. They subconsciously think that women are weak. They don't understand what they're actually saying. That's what I'm saying about Sargon. In no way do I think he believes women are murderers. No, of course he doesn't actually believe that, but it's what he's saying. He doesn't realize what he's saying. And people who make this argument, they don't realize what they're saying. If you believe abortion is killing children, and if you believe women are going to get abortions regardless of whether it's legal, you have to believe that women are innate murderers. I understand nobody's putting that two together. Otherwise, they would stop making that argument. And they really need to stop making that argument. That's what I'm saying. Please understand, I'm not saying abortion, that Sargon is arguing that women are innate murderers. I mean, even though technically he is, I don't believe he's doing it consciously. I really don't think he realizes what he's saying. So when you say, oh, you're strawmanning him, I'm not saying he's doing this intentionally. I'm saying he's not putting together his own logical arguments. So, jumping on. So now that I've returned after the fallout of Liz's rage. No, you returned just in time for me to attack the next group. Okay. I see the chat's going by fairly quick. Sargon versus Liz. Okay. Oh, Thomas. Yeah, I think it was Thomas. That was his name. But that was his first name. I can't remember his last name. Anyway, doesn't matter. Okay. Yeah, Liz versus Sargon win. The problem is I have difficulty discussing this topic because I get so incredibly emotional. You got to understand, I do believe abortion is killing kids. It's kind of like having an argument for the legalization of pedophilia if it was already legal. And if it was the normal practice that children were being raped on a regular basis. Sometimes, and you'd have some where the children were willing and some where the children were not willing. And let's say only 2% of children were not willing and were literally screaming and crying and begging someone to rescue them, but it was totally legal for this to happen on a regular basis. So let's say 23 times a day. And you have someone arguing, oh, this should be legal, and here's why. I'm not going to be able to calmly and rationally say, no, I don't think you should rape kids. No, I'm going to get very, very angry very quickly. This is why I can't debate the subject. I get too worked up, too angry, because I'm like, you're saying we should be able to take a fully formed, perfectly viable child and kill it. And they say, yeah. And I say, okay, we're done here. And you better be glad we're arguing online and not in the same room, because I would hurt you. Whew. But not literally. I probably wouldn't. I think the only guys I've ever actually hit were my brothers. Anyway, and only when we were young. I don't. Since I grew up and I got more mature, I don't hit people anymore. Okay. Anyway, yes. So next group that I want to talk about. One sec. Do you know in America, in the USA, somewhere between 70 and 80% of citizens would say that they are Christian. So, and I understand, especially here in the South, there are a lot of people who just say that they're Christian that probably aren't. They're just, it's a cultural thing, kind of like being Islam. It's a cultural thing over in a lot of countries, even if they don't live according to the Quran or whatever. They just, because they live there, they're Christian. Here in the South, there are a lot of people who just because they live here, they consider themselves Christian. They were born Christian, they grew up Christian, so they just like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian. It's just a cultural thing. So I wouldn't say that 70 to 80% of Americans actually are, but 70 80 to 80% of Americans claim to be. And Christians, for the most part, will say abortion is wrong. For the most part, they will say abortion is killing a child. So why is it that abortion is still totally legal and totally accepted? Or I mean, not embraced, but at least accepted, that people will defend it. I mean, more than half of our politicians, the vast majority of our politicians claim to be Christian and yet will support abortion. Why is that? If they actually believe it's killing a child, why is that? And I think part of it is just the churches themselves. And by the way, people who aren't Christians, you may not get much out of this unless you are also anti-abortion. You can use these points to argue against Christians. So, but this isn't, I'm not talking to you guys at this point. I'm talking to Christians. So why is it, though, that it's still legal? Why is it that it's still so widely accepted, so widely practiced to the tune of 640,000 per year? The reason, I think there are multiple reasons, one of which is the churches teach their congregants to be Christians on Sunday, to come and pay your dues each week. And, you know, I mean, literally, they will... The most important thing, if you're a Christian, you're going to hear this over and over again in churches. The most important thing is that you're a member of a local church and you pay your dues. It's not live a godly lifestyle. It's not do all this other. No, the most important thing is be a member of a local church and pay your dues. You know why? Because pretty much every church in America, the leaders will tell you if you're not a member of a local church and paying your dues, you're not a Christian. So even though they will say the most important thing is live a life of godliness, is personal relationship with Jesus Christ, whatever else, they will say that. The way they act is the most important thing is be a member of a church and pay your dues. And as long as you're doing that, vote however you want. Let's not rock the boat. Let's not bring down persecution on the church. Let's not get involved in politics. And also, let's not condemn anybody. So we'll say these general things like abortion is murder. But the woman who calls up a man and says, I want you to kill my child, and who brings the child to the man and says, here is the child for you to kill, who literally spreads her legs to say, go ahead, kill the child. She didn't do anything wrong. She is a victim, according to churches. The doctor who took the money and killed the child that the woman brought to him, oh, he's the murderer. Oh, that's horrible. This is why people go into bomb abortion clinics, because they're told, oh, those people are evil. But the woman who literally pays a man to kill her child, who brings the child to the man or woman, because there are a lot of female abortion providers, who literally brings the child to the doctor to be killed, who spreads her legs to say, here, I'm giving you full access, go in there and kill my child, and I'll pay you to do it. Oh, she didn't do anything wrong. Yeah, I'm calling out almost all Christians in America. I'm calling out the entire pro-life industry, which is a multi-million-dollar industry in America, because they refuse to say that a woman who hires someone to kill her child, who takes the child to the person to be killed, and who provides access to the child for the person to go in there and kill it, oh, she didn't do anything wrong. The entire pro-life community will say this, and churches will loudly condemn anyone who says otherwise. There is a group called Abolish Human Abortion, and I've got the link in the description below. who actually calls it out and says this is not all, it says abortion is murder, and any woman who pays a man or pays someone to kill their child is complicit in murder. And churches across America condemn this group because they dare to say the woman is at fault. Now, there are instances where women are forced into abortions. Yes, this happens. Women fighting against it, where the boyfriend either psychologically forces her, the husband psychologically forces her, the parents force her. And there was a story of parents who were upset that their daughter was pregnant. They took her by force to an abortion clinic and said, you know, give her an abortion. She was literally fighting back, said, no, no, no. The nurses gave her a drug a shot they said to calm her down. What it did was it knocked her out, and they went ahead and did the abortion without her, against her will, without her permission. I mean, that's actually illegal, fortunately. And she woke up and she was horrified, and she was, no, she's not a murderer. No, that's somebody going in and murdering her child without her permission. So no, in that case, yeah, she's a victim. That's an incredibly small percentage. The vast majority of time, overwhelming majority of time, the woman is making a choice. Pro-choice. They are choosing to kill their child. Okay? They are not the victim. They are making a choice. There were women. There was a case of a woman, and some people in this group were actually, or this community actually brought this up, where a woman hired a man to kill her husband, and there was video evidence of her meeting with this hitman who was going to go kill her husband, and she was convicted of attempted murder, even though she was not trying. She wasn't going to do the murder. She wasn't going to get her hands dirty. No, she was going to pay this other person to do it. Unfortunately, they got found out beforehand. Like I said, the husband was able to get video. I think anyway. So they were both arrested. They were thrown in jail. Yeah, because she was guilty, because she was hiring a man to kill her husband. So why is it that when women hire someone to kill their kids, we're still saying, oh, but she's a victim? Even though she paid them to do it, even though she took the child to this person to be killed, even though she gave them access to the child to kill it, she's a victim. As long as you say that, women are going to keep doing it. Now, am I the one saying women aren't murderers? No, I'm saying that the same way that some men are rapists, some women are murderers. Yes, vast majority of women are not. But as long as it's accepted, as long as, I mean, yeah, look at, who was it? I think it was, Dankula just did a video on this one country where men would go and kidnap women and force them to marry them. And that was how a lot of them got their wives. And it's just widely accepted practice. Now, I imagine if it was made illegal, and apparently it is illegal, but the cops don't enforce it. I imagine if it was actually enforced that it was illegal, the vast majority of people would stop doing it. If rape was something that was actually legal and accepted, I think it would happen a lot more often. Now, again, there's still going to be a lot of people, probably the majority of men still would not rape women, even if it was legal and generally accepted. But you would have a lot more men doing it if it was legal and accepted. Because yes, there are some men who would have no problem with rape. They're just not going to do it because it's not worth the risk. In the same way, you have the vast majority of women in America believe abortion is wrong, and they're not going to do it. You have a smaller group that say, you have a lot of people who say, I believe it's wrong, but I'm going to do it anyway, just because it's more convenient. And let's face it, the vast majority of abortions are for convenience. Oh, I can't afford this child. Well, you could give it up for adoption. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I actually argued with somebody on Twitter who was an absolute moron, and I don't remember who it was, so I know I'm calling you out here, and I'm not entirely sorry for insulting you, because what you said was stupid. But whoever it was, I honestly don't remember who it was. But I was arguing with this person. I've said, I'm talking about particularly late-term abortions, and I said, no, they need to deliver the child and give it up for adoption. And he says, or he, I don't know, person, he or she, I don't know. I'm going to say he said, oh, but the worst thing you can do to a child is give it up. I mean, that's the absolute worst thing you can do to a child. And I said, is it worse than killing a child? And he said, the worst thing you do is give it up. I said, what about raping a child? What about taking a child and selling it into sexual slavery? You know, because actually infants sometimes are sold into sexual slavery. I said, is that worse? And he's like, oh, that's ridiculous. Wait, why are you even making that argument? I'm like, is it worse than giving up a child? That's not what I'm saying. You literally said the worst thing you can do. And he never said it wasn't. I'm like, oh, these morons, complete logical disconnect. Anyway, So yes, I'm calling out the pro-life community because they are essentially encouraging abortion to remain legal by saying women are victims. There are so many women who go get abortions saying, I'm the victim, I'm the victim, I'm the victim. No, you're not. You're a murderer. You are killing your child. You are paying somebody to kill your child. You are not the victim. I had a friend who worked construction. He was working on a construction site just outside of an abortion facility, or like across the street or something. At one point, he's taking lunch and he's watching, because he was horrified at this practice going on, but not a lot he could do. He's taking lunch and he sees this young couple going toward the abortion clinic, and he stopped them and was asking, saying, please don't do this. Don't kill your child. And in talking to them, come to find out they're both Christians. And they said, yes, we know this is wrong. Yes, we know this is killing a child, but God will forgive us. Why are they saying that? It's because they hear it preached in church every single Sunday. If you've had an abortion, God will forgive you. If you've had an abortion, God will forgive you. If you've had an abortion, God will forgive you. What you're saying is, it's okay. Stop saying it's okay. It is not okay. Now, it's fine to say God can forgive any sin. God forgave the Apostle Paul, who was an actual murderer, okay? He killed a lot of people, and yes, God forgave him. So yes, can God forgive murderers? Yes, he absolutely can. But stop saying murder is okay! Oh, gracious me. Anyway, time to take a break, read the chat. I'm like probably way, I know I'm way behind, but I need to, I need to calm down. I never understood the dark humor from the UK, where they'll make these jokes about the most horrific things and then be laughing about it. And I'm like, that's horrific. How can you do that? Until I start arguing about abortion, and it's like, you laugh to calm down, because otherwise you go insane. I'm like, I just need to calm down. It's not because it's funny. It's not funny. It's really, really, really not funny. But people say, oh, I laugh because otherwise I'd cry. I'm like, I just need to calm down. Okay. Yeah, okay. I see the chat. It looks like they're talking to each other. So, yeah. I don't, okay. I'm guessing that this is, yeah. Oh, Ray believes in unrestricted abortion until the cord is cut. No, she actually believes in it beyond that. Actually, because I did discuss abortion with her briefly. I think that's probably the only abortion debate I've ever had on stream with other people. And I would say that, I said, when is it an actual child? And she said, when it has a birth certificate. And I was shocked, and I think everybody on stream was shocked, like, what? Well, I found out she's not alone in that. I had Christian friends of mine in the US were discussing the topic, and apparently some of them were saying that, I don't know if they were Christians saying it, I don't remember, but they were saying the same. No, oh, I remember. It was actually an argument about illegal immigration that somebody tied back to abortion. Yes, with the bills now that would essentially allow infanticide being pushed in 2 states. It was somebody who is with me on immigration, and all these people who are saying that, children born of illegal immigrants should not be considered citizens, they shouldn't get birth certificates. And he was saying, oh, well, in talking about the abortion debate, it's like, oh, well, come on, it's not an actual child until it has a birth certificate, right? Just using the same argument. So apparently people do say that, but yeah. Oh, I couldn't stay with a girl who is anti-abortion. Just repulses me that much. If you don't believe abortion is killing a child, I can understand that. If you believe abortion is killing a child, you got a problem there. And yeah, Ray would be quite happy to abort a 10-year-old. Oh, beyond that, I mean, you remember what she said about incels? She's like, oh, just drop them in the Middle East with a gun, and I mean, she'll kill anybody that she doesn't like. Anyway, so. If you're pro-murder, I totally understand why you're pro-abortion. I mean, at least be consistent. But if you're against murder, then, oh, I misspoke. Okay, maybe that's not what you meant. Okay. Oh yeah, Liz is not dead. Yes, I'm sorry. I've been the entire month of January. I clock out of everything social, anything. I work basically. If I'm awake, I'm working. It's just January is my insane month. So yeah, I'm not available. January's. Okay. So Ooh. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, I was, excuse me, sorry. Oh, have you seen the heartbeat bill in Ohio? Looks like it may pass. That would be nice. Yeah, it's I've seen people running for office in different states saying, I want to abolish abortion. This is killing children. And the pro-life industries in those states opposing that candidate because they say if a woman kills her child, she's a murderer. And the pro-life industry will oppose them and say, you can't say that. Churches will oppose them and say, you can't say that. It's a logical disconnect. And yeah, we're never going to abolish abortion until we recognize you're killing a child. And yeah, anyway. Hi, Tory Yank Brigade. That sounds okay. I mean, yeah, other than I don't like being called a Yank because that implies Northerner. Other than that, I mean, that sounds pretty cool. Oh boy. Quick question, would you accept any compromise on abortion? The closest thing I would accept to a compromise on abortion would be, oh, come on, what's it called? I have difficulty with words. I think it's actually a thing that's been diagnosed where you can't remember the word for something. That's why I have so much trouble with names is I lose simple words. But there's a certain type of pregnancy. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. I should know it. I mean, I can see pictures of the diagrams, but there's a certain type of pregnancy where, oh, wish I could remember. Anyway, where they, just a brief biology lesson. And I'm terrible with biology, by the way. I know a little bit, but basically where you have the woman's, if you think of you've probably all seen images, or I'm sorry, diagrams of a uterus, just because the feminists want to post it all over the place, or whatever. But you've got the uterus, and then you have the fallopian tubes with the tube sacs up here that provide the eggs. And I'm probably messing things up. But anyway, the egg comes down the fallopian tube into the uterus, and the sperm comes up into the uterus also. The egg and the sperm meet. And once the egg is fertilized, that's how you get a baby, and it attaches to the uterine wall and then grows into a baby. You will have incredibly rare instances where the egg doesn't make it all the way down the fallopian tube. It's like it's stuck halfway, and the sperm somehow comes up into the uterus and goes up the fallopian tube and implants or fertilizes the egg there. So it's, again, I wish I could, somebody in chat tell me what I'm talking, or tell me what it's called. Ectopic, thank you. Yes, an ectopic pregnancy. Anyway, the word doesn't connect to anything there. I'm sure it does, but I just don't know much. Anyway, but yes, an ectopic pregnancy where the fertilized egg actually implants itself inside the fallopian tube. Now, that egg is going to grow into a baby. There is no space in the fallopian tube for that to happen. It can't, it's in the uterus, there is, and the uterus is actually made to be able to expand to accommodate this baby. The fallopian tube can't. So as that egg grows, and it expands through the fallopian tube, it will inevitably burst the tube long before the baby is viable, and the woman will bleed to death unless she's like out at the hospital when it happens. So an ectopic pregnancy is one that is literally non-viable, okay? I mean, short of a miracle, which I think, I don't know if it's happened, but I and again, regardless of whether you believe in God, you have to admit there are medical miracles, things that just happen that doctors can't explain. I don't know if it has ever happened that an ectopic pregnancy has been able to move down the fallopian tube and into the uterus. I don't think it's ever happened. But so again, short of a miracle, it's not going to happen. The baby and the mother will both die if that is allowed to continue. That is the only compromise, if you will, that I would give on abortions. So I would say, if that was me, now I do believe in God, I do believe in miracles. So honestly, if that was me and I had an ectopic pregnancy, I don't think I would, I still don't think I would get an abortion. I think I would pray, and I would ask everybody else to pray for a miracle. Please, please, I'm not going to kill my baby. So for me, I would not compromise. I would not have an abortion under any circumstances. But in a situation like that, I know women, I know at least 2 women personally who have had ectopic pregnancies, who had to have it who had to have abortions, and both of them are very, very anti-abortion. They believe abortion is wrong in all cases, but in that case, you can't. There's nothing you can do. There is no medical way of removing the baby and still it still being alive. And they actually have pictures of a woman who had this, and when they went in and pulled it out, I mean, they had a doctor do it, not an abortion provider, because I don't think an abortion provider can do that. They're not trained to be able to actually go up the fallopian tube. You have to have a doctor go in like surgically, and they have a picture of a baby that was removed, and I mean, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, the mother was just horrible, because you see this again, teeny tiny, fully formed baby that they had to pull out, and they're like, yeah, I mean, and at the time it was still technically alive. They said pull it out, fully formed. I mean, just again, teeny tiny. I mean, we're talking much smaller than just than even a little fingernail. It was so small, but I mean, it was alive, but there was nothing they can do. At that point, it's maybe it's probably less than 4 weeks old. I mean, there's nothing you can do. So as far as would you compromise on abortion, I compromise, yes, when it comes to ectopic pregnancies, because there is literally nothing you can do. Again, if it was me, I would just pray for a miracle, make sure I'm close to a hospital, and if I don't get a miracle and it does burst the fallopian tube, I'm going into the hospital and them stitching me up or whatever. So I mean, I don't know. I joke about it that if that ever happened to me, I'd probably just die. So for me, I would never have an abortion, period. But I would not condemn a woman who in a situation like that. So no. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay. I'm sorry. We're just like, Liz, are you pacifist? That answers your question. This is a fully functioning pistol, by the way. It holds. Here, let me pull it out. I'm just gonna. Hang on. I haven't taken it apart in a while. Should have. Oh, there we go. Literally holds 5 rounds, which I've got 1 bullet. I need to reload. But yes, this will kill up to 5 people or 1 person 5 times over. No, I'm not a pacifist. This is if anybody breaks into my house, and the reason it's so tiny, by the way, I do have a large one, but the reason it's so tiny is because women's clothes nowadays, women like to complain, oh, we don't have pockets. No, we do have pockets. You just can't fit anything in them. So this is like the biggest, the smallest, or sorry, yeah, this is the largest gun I think that a woman can carry concealed. And let me carefully put it back together. If you don't know how to use a gun, don't have a gun. If you want to have a gun, learn how to use it first. I have taken. Okay, I'll put it back together later. I'm not planning on anyone breaking into the house, but no, I'm not a pacifist. Anyway. If I had potential monetization, I'm sure that would have just demonetized the stream, but I don't have enough viewers or enough subscribers to be monetized anyway. No, I'm not a pacifist anyway. No, I don't like when anybody gets killed. I don't like, I hate war because you have so many civilian casualties. I feel like the atomic bomb is, I want to say, completely immoral just because it's killing so many civilians, so many innocent people. I'm not okay with all of those deaths, no. But no, I'm not a pacifist. So, yeah. I actually had the opportunity to shoot a person, and I almost did. Okay, that sounded bad. There was a guy with a gun running at me, and I had a gun. He didn't realize I had a gun because it was out of sight. And I realized at the time, I had a split-second decision. I'm like, I can pull my gun and shoot him, or I can duck out of the way. Because I was in a doorway actually, and I'm like, I can duck out of the way because he's just trying to get away from the scene of the crime. He had just committed a crime, and I was standing there and I saw it happen. And I'm like, I can duck out of the way, or I can just pull out my gun and just shoot him dead. And I mean, a split-second decision, and I decide. And I knew in that moment I could totally kill him, but I'm like, I don't want to. The reason, the biggest reason I didn't want to was not because I'm like, oh, I don't want to kill somebody. It's because there was a woman right behind him, or directly behind, not right behind. She was like probably 15, 20 feet behind him. And I'm like, if I miss him, I could hit her, or he's so close to me, if I hit him, it's possible the bullet could go through him, come out and hit her. Very unlikely but possible. And I'm like, I'm not willing to risk her life. So I ducked out of the way. But no, if there had been nobody behind him, he's running like almost directly at me, waving a gun. I mean, yeah, if there had been nobody behind him, I would have shot him. But I was just, like I said, I wasn't willing to risk somebody else. So no, I'm not a pacifist. I will defend myself. have no problem with that. Um, get a Calibri. I don't know what that is, but I'll have to. Smaller but won't pierce clothes. I don't. Okay. Anyway. Oh, could you stop somebody with a gun? Yes. Yes. I know that this it carries a 22 long. Okay, which a lot of people. By the way, guys out there. So yeah, that's one of the bullets. It's a 22 long. It's a tiny little thing. Now, one thing I want to have a separate stream on guns and just say, guys, stop telling women that the 22 isn't going to hurt anybody. Because when I got that gun, I had so many men tell me, oh, a 22, that's just going to scare them. It's not even going to pierce their skin. No, 22 long is lethal at 400 yards if it actually hits a vital organ. If you tell women, especially because women tend to, in general, don't know as much about guns, and if you tell a woman, oh, that's not going to hurt them, they're going to shoot a lot more readily because they're like, oh, it's actually just going to scare them. Here, let me shoot them. And then when somebody actually dies, they're like, wait, I didn't think this was going to kill them. No, it will kill them. It will kill them. This gun is lethal further than it can actually fire accurately. It's only accurate at like 200 yards, and yet it's lethal at 300 yards or 300 or 400 yards, depending. It does happen run on the 22 long. It's so small, it's not accurate far away. So I mean, you wouldn't use that on somebody who wasn't pretty close to you. But yes, it is definitely lethal. It will kill people, and do not tell people it won't, because it will. Anyway, okay, yeah, we've gotten way off topic. This happens with my streams. Okay. Yeah, okay. It looks like the chat is mainly arguing with each other at this point. So, yeah. If anybody has any questions, I'm glad I did not get as emotional as I thought I would. But like I say, I've been practicing this over the last week and a half, and every time I would practice it thinking, oh, I'm going to say this, I would just get so emotional, so worked up. I'm like, I have to walk away. I just can't. And I'm thinking, I can never do the stream. I'm never going to be able to do the stream. But I think just practicing it over and over and over again. This was me very calm. Okay. So real people use tanks for home defense. The problem is you got to have a lot of yard space. You know how much yard space that would take up a tank? I mean, come on. Plus, not to mention the fact that, I mean, you got to keep it outside. Otherwise, it's not going to be very useful. And then people can come in, and what are you going to do? You sleep in it or something? I mean, you can't. Yeah, anyway. Tanks aren't going to be useful. Not for home defense. Tanks would be useful. Yeah, anyway. Planting landmines in my front yard, immoral. If you have no nieces and nephews, then I mean, maybe. See, I have nieces and nephews that want to come over and play in the front yard. I don't want landmines in my front yard. Anyway. Okay. Yeah. A woman shot and killed her husband with a pistol because she thought a book would stop it. It was for a YouTube video. Yeah. People, I think I don't know what it is, but I have had so many men, and it's only men. And I think it's because in general, women don't carry, or if they do, they don't study guns. So they'll have a gun for self-defense, but it's not like they're out studying all the different types of guns. They're just like, oh, here, they practice shooting, they take the concealed carry class, so they feel comfortable with the gun, and then they get a gun. And these men who actually do study guns and talk about, oh, these powerful guns or these not powerful guns, and they look at this woman, oh, haha, that's so cute, but that's not even gonna hurt anybody. The woman believes them because they assume they know what they're talking about. And guess what? They're wrong. Stop telling people the 22 isn't gonna kill somebody. It will. Anyway, what do you think of the level of abortions had dropped so much since 1980? I think that's good. I think better birth control promotes lower numbers of abortions, but at the same time, remember that abortion numbers are self-reported by the states anyway. So to be honest, we don't know. I think it's safe to assume, just because statistics, you assume the same people are going to, if they've been reporting in the past, are going to continue reporting in the future. So if the overall numbers have dropped, then probably yes, the overall numbers have dropped. But yeah. So anyway, that's shoot their foot and prove them wrong. No, I don't want to hurt anybody, but if somebody breaks into my house, anyway, that has nothing to do with abortion, or very, very little anyway. Okay, now I should probably end the stream here. That's yeah, because we're kind of off topic and uh, okay, sorry, yeah, but people keep coming in with questions, so let's see. So that's why satisfy stand your ground and self-defense laws, you should empty your clip. Oh, yes. Um, Oh, and another question that I do want to address, but just briefly, I know this is not abortion related, but as far as the stand your ground and self-defense laws, yes, unfortunately, the way the laws are, I'm one thing I've been told by so many people, it's if somebody breaks into your house, shoot to kill, because if you just injure them, then you could go to jail. But if you kill them, you're not going to go to jail. So many of these laws that are essentially made to protect people end up doing the exact opposite. So I mean, it's horrible. You just got to the laws regarding gun violence and regarding self-defense and all that, they're so messed up, but it's true. It would be if somebody breaks into the house, into my house, I would rather shoot a warning shot if I have that opportunity and then shoot to injure. I don't want to shoot I don't want to kill them, but yeah, I'm definitely going to defend myself. But the way the law is, I can get into far more trouble if I just injure them and let them live than if I kill them. It's terrible. So honestly, I don't know if I had the option and I knew I can either shoot to injure or shoot to kill. I would. I don't know. The guy that was coming at me with the gun, if I shot him, I would have shot him through the heart. So yeah, that would have been shoot to kill. If a guy broke into my house and I couldn't see that he had a weapon, see this guy, I saw that he had a gun. He literally had the gun in his hand. He was running and his hands were up like this. So it's not like he wasn't pointing the gun at anyone, but he was running and his hand was waving and I could see the gun in his hand. So I knew he was armed. I didn't know that the gun was loaded. Honestly, I didn't even know if it was a real gun. I mean, it could potentially have been a fake gun, but I could see that he had a gun in his hand. So in his case, I would have shot to kill. Because if I shot to injure, he'd just shoot back, potentially. But if I couldn't see that a person had a weapon, but I still had very good reason to believe they were a threat, I think I would shoot to injure rather than shoot to kill. But unfortunately, the way the laws are, yeah. Anyway, but okay, morning after pill. I would like to address that very briefly, just because that is something that is very misunderstood, especially here in America. And they say, is the morning after pill freely available in the US? Yes, it's just an over-the-counter pill. You can just go into any pharmacy and pick it up. You don't need the prescription. Now, so many people believe, and this is going to sound like a pro-abortion thing. I actually support. I have no problem with the morning after pill. Well, I do. I have a problem with the morning after pill because it's misleading. I think that a lot of people need to sue the people providing it because it's misleading. They tout it as as essentially an in-home abortion. It isn't. The only thing the morning after pill does is it closes up the fallopian tubes. It does not have any effect on the uterus. Now, there are there are medical procedures or medical pills like the RU46, I believe it is, that will, what it does is it loosens the uterine lining so that the uterus essentially sheds its lining, which means that if there is an egg implanted in the uterine lining, when it sheds its lining, the egg is expelled. So it causes a miscarriage, essentially. The morning after pill doesn't do that. The morning after pill, in its test, it has been shown it has absolutely zero effect if a woman is actually pregnant. So if essentially, as I said, you have the egg that comes down the fallopian tubes into the uterus, and there is implanted with the sperm. Now, and at that point, the egg should implant. Now, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it just never implants and it's just expelled. That's a natural miscarriage. But if the egg is in the uterus and already fertilized, the morning after pill does nothing. If it's connected to the uterine wall, the morning after pill does nothing. The morning after pill only closes the fallopian tube. So essentially, if the egg is about to be released and a woman has sex, so there is sperm in the uterus, I think the sperm can survive like up to 3 days or something. I'm not sure. So if the egg is about to be released and there's sperm in the uterus, the morning after pill will close up the fallopian tube so that the egg doesn't actually come down. So it prevents a pregnancy. It does not. It doesn't actually eliminate a pregnancy that has already been formed. So this idea that it's an abortion pill, it actually isn't. Because if the egg has already been released, or if there's no egg to be released anyway, the morning after pill does nothing. It just pumps you full of steroids, essentially. I mean, it's not healthy. It'll just make you sick for a couple of days, but it does nothing. It's on these very, very rare instances where you're just about to ovulate. It's like, oh, the egg is just about to be released. Now it's going to help. So there's like maybe 2 days. It's an incredibly rare chance that it's going to do anything for you. It might, but no, the morning after pill actually does not perform an abortion. So that's a common misconception. So many Christians are like, oh, we need to ban the morning after pill. It doesn't. No, you don't. You really don't. It doesn't cause an abortion. It doesn't do anything bad. It just, I mean, it prevents any pregnancies anyway. It's practically useless. So I feel like a lot of people want to sue them because of false advertising. So yeah, I have no problem with the morning after pill because no, it is not an abortifacient. I'm glad I'm not eating while watching this. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway. Um, okay. Anyway, okay. I keep saying I'm going to end the stream. Keeps going on though. Yeah. So we need more accurate information. By the way, I mean, I have a huge problem with abortion. I'm very anti-abortion, but at the same time, stop. We shouldn't be attacking things that aren't abortion. The morning after pill, it's not abortion, and I know it's because it was touted as an abortion pill. Essentially, the company that made it were like, oh, it's Plan B, yay! It's like, oh no, I had unprotected sex. Oh, quick, we used Plan B. So they actually promoted it, essentially using misleading languages to say it would do the same thing as an abortion. So naturally, all the churches and all the pro-life ministries jumped on it. Oh, this is horrible! This is evil! This is horrible! And then people actually did the research and said, wait, that's not what it does. And yet, still, so many people are still like, oh my God, this is horrible! It's an abortion. No, it's not. It isn't. It's the company itself misled the public in order to sell the product, and people are still going by this incorrect information. So yeah. Oh, the dragons are sleeping. Sorry, they're all upstairs. I should. They were up at. I woke up at 5 o'clock this morning, and Papa and the baby were up. Just yeah, it was yeah. So anyway, so they're sleeping. Okay. Yeah. The just empty your clip. That comment. I don't. Not sure I totally follow you, so I'll have to do that later. Oh, in the UK, the morning after pill is over the counter, but you have to have an interview with a pharmacist. Oh, and you have to be seen to take it in front of the pharmacist. My goodness. Oh, that's weird. And I don't know, maybe the morning after pill is something different in the UK. I'm sure it isn't. That's weird. I do still think that, yeah, I think that there's so much misleading information on the morning after pill. But yeah, what time is it in Florida? It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So yeah. Okay. I'm gonna wrap up the stream. I'll be on Discord. Yay! I'm on Twitter and everything. I'm back online. I'm finally past my busy season. And yeah, this is a topic that I get too emotional to actually debate rationally unless I've practiced over and over again. And I don't know. If I was half drunk, I could probably do it. Maybe. I can't get too excited. It's not safe. Oh, it's to stop people stockpiling it. Okay, that makes sense. Yes, and yes, hey, our Hagnar. Yes, I saw that that video by Dank. Oh my goodness, I can't say I'm surprised, but yeah. Anyway, I'm sure I'll be having more streams in the future. Sorry this went on so long. I would say sorry I got so emotional, but I actually didn't get as emotional as I normally would on this topic. So yay. Anyway, if you're not on AA's Discord, then look up the Academic Agent. I'm sure he has the link in some of his videos or whatever. But yeah, and I'll be on Twitter. I need to put that link in there too. But I will see y'all later. Y'all take care.